Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. Max Verstappen has officially confirmed his participation in the legendary 24 Hours of Nürburgring, marking his first major step into endurance racing while still competing in Formula One. This news, revealed by Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko, puts an end to weeks of speculation about whether Verstappen would pursue competition outside F1 following his recent licensing process in Germany. In order to compete, Verstappen was required to complete all the strict prerequisites established by German motorsport authorities. This included passing a theoretical exam, undergoing mandatory training sessions, and earning the special Grade A license, which grants drivers the right to compete professionally on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. These requirements applied to Verstappen just as they do to any other driver, despite his 3 Formula One World Championships. Marko himself commented on the licensing process, even joking about the situation, noting how unusual it was for a driver of Verstappen's caliber to prove his ability to handle a 240-horsepower GT car. Still, Verstappen approached the challenge with complete seriousness. He participated in multiple sessions under varied conditions, including wet weather qualifying, and impressed observers with consistently fast and controlled laps. His efforts were rewarded with a 7th-place finish in his class and 27th overall, further underlining his readiness for endurance racing. For Verstappen, the Nürburgring project is not a casual diversion, but rather a long-held dream. The Dutchman has spoken frequently about his passion for endurance racing and his admiration for the demanding nature of the Nordschleife. Competing in the 24 Hours of Nürburgring represents not only a personal ambition, but also a chance to expand his career into new areas of motorsport. Marko confirmed that Verstappen's primary target was always to secure a place in the 2026 edition of the event, but with the process completed ahead of schedule, his debut has been moved up. However, the advisor also dismissed the idea of Verstappen taking part in the 24 Hours of Le Mans for now, citing the significantly higher risks posed by the wide performance gap between categories on that track. According to Marko, Le Mans is not on the table at the moment, while Nürburgring will be the exclusive focus of Verstappen's endurance endeavors. This decision also reflects Verstappen's cautious but deliberate approach to building his racing legacy beyond Formula One. With the Nordschleife being one of the most challenging circuits in the world, a strong performance there will only enhance his reputation as one of the most versatile and fearless drivers of his generation. Looking further ahead, Verstappen has hinted that he could one day expand his involvement in endurance racing, potentially even as a team owner. Reports indicate that preparations are already underway for Verstappen.com Racing to have a greater presence in GT and endurance events. Such a move would not only allow him to compete, but also shape the development of younger drivers and teams in the sport. The 2026 Nürburgring 24 Hours will now mark Verstappen's official debut in one of endurance racing's crown jewels. It offers him a new platform to showcase his skills and adds another chapter to a career already filled with records and milestones. For fans, it represents the rare chance to see a Formula One star compete in one of motorsport's most unpredictable and grueling events. One of the things that has always been part of Formula One is not only the racing itself, but also the political games being played behind the scenes. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this update. Recently, a rumor began circulating that Ferrari was lagging behind in the development of its 2026 power unit. On the surface, this sounded like a major problem for the legendary Italian team, especially with the new regulations coming in just 2 years. However, according to the highly respected outlet Racing News 365, this supposed delay was nothing more than a carefully orchestrated strategy aimed at damaging Ferrari's reputation in the technical job market. The idea behind spreading such a rumor is straightforward. By making it seem like Ferrari is struggling and falling behind, rival teams hope to make Maranello a less attractive destination for top engineers. And this timing is far from accidental. Right now, every team is intensively recruiting specialists to prepare for the massive regulation overhaul in 2026. Casting doubt on Ferrari's readiness could push potential hires toward other outfits, such as Mercedes, Red Bull, or even newcomers like Audi. The speculation intensified after the departure of Wolf Zimmermann and Lars Schmidt, two engineers who left Ferrari to join Audi's project. At first glance, their exit looked like a serious setback. But in reality, their work on Ferrari's future car had already been completed months ago. The leadership of the power unit program is now firmly in the hands of Enrico Galtieri, the head of Ferrari's engine department, and insiders report that dyno tests for the new unit are already scheduled. This clearly contradicts any notion that Ferrari is behind schedule. In fact, sources suggest that Ferrari's 2026 engine has been designed to operate at higher internal temperatures with reduced heat exchange requirements, giving it a unique edge in efficiency. Furthermore, the team has integrated innovative fluid dynamic solutions and strengthened its aerodynamic package thanks to the addition of Frank Sanchez, another respected figure in the technical world. Taken together, these developments suggest that Ferrari is not only on schedule, but may actually be ahead of the curve, with enough breathing room to test bold new ideas rather than rushing to catch up. Meanwhile, a silent war is unfolding in the engineering job market. Ferrari and Mercedes are leading the charge, both heavily recruiting to bolster their staff before the 2026 reset. Some insiders believe Mercedes will enter the new era with a slight advantage. But what's equally clear is that the narrative of Ferrari being late is little more than a political maneuver designed to weaken Maranello's pull. In truth, Ferrari appears far from vulnerable and is moving with a deliberate strategy to prepare for the next generation of cars and engines. What this episode highlights is how politics in Formula One can be just as intense as the racing itself. Rumors, leaks, and strategic misinformation are part of the game, and teams will go to great lengths to protect their secrets while undermining their rivals. For Ferrari, dismissing these claims is not just about protecting its image, but also about ensuring it can continue to attract the brightest minds to work on its ambitious 2026 project. Looking ahead, the competition off the track promises to be just as fascinating as what we'll see on it. With Ferrari determined to re-establish itself at the very top, Mercedes aiming to maintain its legacy of dominance, and Red Bull trying to carry its success into the new regulations, the stage is set for a battle of innovation, recruitment, and strategy. The development race is already in full swing, even if the new cars won't appear for another 2 years. The Mercedes Formula One team confirmed today that George Russell did not take part in any of his scheduled activities on Thursday at the Baku City Circuit. According to the team, Russell was not feeling well, and the decision was made for him to rest rather than risk worsening his condition. As a result, the British driver skipped all planned media sessions, internal meetings, and other commitments scheduled for the day. The team statement did not go into detail about the specific nature of Russell's illness or discomfort. However, Mercedes emphasized that the decision was made as a precautionary measure. The priority, they said, is ensuring that the driver is in full health and ready to compete once the serious on-track action begins on Friday, when free practice sessions are set to take place on the streets of Baku. For now, the expectation inside the garage is that Russell will be fit to return in time for the opening practice session. Team staff remain optimistic and are planning as if he will be back behind the wheel. Yet, as is often the case in Formula One, teams must prepare for every possibility. If Russell is still unwell by Friday, Mercedes could be forced to call in a substitute driver on short notice. The most likely candidate in such a scenario would be Valtteri Bottas, who has remained close to the Mercedes setup since leaving the team at the end of 2021. Bottas, currently competing for Sauber, has the required experience with the team's systems and personnel, making him the logical choice to step in if Russell cannot participate. His potential return, even if temporary, would certainly attract attention, as fans remember his 5 years with Mercedes alongside Lewis Hamilton, where he helped the team secure multiple Constructors' Championships. The news of Russell's absence quickly spread through the paddock and onto social media, where Mercedes reassured fans that there is no major cause for concern. They underlined that Russell's rest day was purely precautionary, not a sign of a long-term issue. Even so, it is unusual for a driver to skip an entire Thursday program, which typically includes track walks, strategy briefings, and important engineering discussions ahead of the race weekend. Russell's absence comes at a critical moment for Mercedes. The team is currently locked in a tight battle with Ferrari for second place in the Constructors' Championship, with little margin for error. Both Russell and his teammate Andrea Kimi Antonelli have been tasked with delivering consistent points finishes, especially as Red Bull and McLaren remain the stronger forces at the top of the standings. For Russell personally, this weekend is also important. His performances this season have been steady but not spectacular, and Mercedes has been working to maximize every opportunity. Missing even one session of practice could put him on the back foot in terms of setup and confidence heading into qualifying and the race. The Baku street circuit is known for being punishing, with long straights, tight corners, and little room for error, making track time essential. Nevertheless, Formula One drivers are no strangers to pushing through difficult weekends. Illness and minor health issues have often cropped up in the past, with most drivers determined to return to the cockpit as quickly as possible. If Russell is able to recover in time for Friday, he is expected to complete the full program without restrictions. If not, Mercedes will face a decision that could shape the outcome of their weekend. As things stand, Russell's Thursday absence appears to be a short-term precaution rather than a major setback. But the uncertainty will keep the spotlight on him heading into free practice. The team is preparing quietly in the background, balancing their optimism with contingency plans, while fans wait to see whether Russell climbs back into the cockpit or if Bottas could make a surprising one-off return to the Silver Arrows.